All right, today we're going to break down this incredible sermon that uses a couple of really powerful stories to ask one simple question. When the pressure is on, where do you look? Let's dive right in.
And it's a question for all of us, right? Not just for people on a stage. The source material we're exploring today argues that your answer, well, it can make all the difference between success and, well, a total wipeout.
So, to really dig into this idea, the sermon kicks off with these two stories about performers under some serious pressure. And both of them are looking for that one stable thing, that one focal point to just get them through it.
Okay, so picture this. On one hand, you've got this circus motorcyclist doing a crazy death-defying loop. And his secret? His whole strategy? He just locks his eyes on one random person in the front row. Then, on the other hand, you have a young violinist completely frozen by stage fright. And the crucial difference here is who they choose to look at. One picks a stranger, the other is looking for family.
So get this, the motorcyclist actually goes up to the spectator beforehand and says, "Hey, I'm using you as my anchor." But then, during the final show, at the absolute worst possible moment, the guy just gets up and walks out. And the sermon just leaves us hanging right there. What happens next?
Now let's switch back to the violinist. The kid is terrified, just scanning this sea of faces, searching for something, and then they find him. It's their dad. And he's not holding up a phone to record, he's just there, smiling. And that look says it all, right? I'm with you, you can do this.
And boom, just like that, everything changes. The crowd, the pressure, it all just melts away. And suddenly, it's not a scary ordeal anymore. It's a gift for their dad. And that right there is the sermon's first huge insight. The quality of your focal point is absolutely everything. Is it a random stranger who might leave, or an unwavering source of love?
Now, these stories are great, but they aren't just about stage fright. The sermon uses them as a perfect analogy for something much, much bigger. Basically, the unstable things our society tells us to use to measure a successful life.
The sermon suggests that for a lot of us, life gets boiled down to this simple worldly scorecard. And there are really only two questions on it. How much money did you make? And how successful are your kids?
And see, we're right back to that motorcyclist. Because relying on your wealth or your kids' achievements to define your self-worth, well, that's exactly like staring at that stranger in the front row. They are temporary anchors that can, and very often do, just walk away.
Okay, so if those worldly things are the wrong anchor, what's the right one? To answer that, the sermon turns to this really dramatic story from the Gospel of Matthew called the Transfiguration.
So here's the quick version. Jesus takes his inner circle, Peter, James, and John, up a mountain. All of a sudden, his whole appearance changes. He becomes incredibly radiant. And then out of nowhere, two absolute legends of the faith, Moses and Elijah, just appear and start talking with him.
Now the sermon makes it really clear these aren't just some random historical figures. Moses, he represents the law, the entire foundation of the faith. And Elijah, he represents all the prophets. So you're basically looking at the entire story of God's relationship with his people up to that point, all embodied in these two guys.
And this is where we get to the heart of it. Because in this amazing, overwhelming moment, one of the disciples, Peter, does something that is so human, so relatable. He makes a mistake of focus. He's just completely blown away by what he's seeing, right? So he blurts out, "Lord, this is incredible. If you want, I'll build 3 shelters right here. One for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." You see what he did there? He put all 3 of them on the same level, treating them as equals. And this is the sermon's central point. Peter's mistake is our mistake. We do the exact same thing. We build a shelter for our faith, sure, but right next to it we build these other, equally important shelters for our wealth and our success, and we treat them all like they're equal sources of meaning.
But hang on, the story isn't over. The vision on the mountain is about to shift in a really big way. It's going to provide a dramatic correction to Peter's mistake and show everyone what the one true focal point is.
So a voice comes out of a cloud, and it terrifies the disciples. They fall flat on the ground. Jesus tells them not to be afraid, and when they finally get the courage to lift their heads and look up,
They saw no one except Jesus. Moses was gone, Elijah was gone, all the temporary glories, all the symbols of the past, they had just vanished. In the end, only one anchor was left standing.
and that's how it all connects. Moses, Elijah, wealth, success, they are all like the motorcyclist's spectator. They're temporary. They will eventually walk away. But Jesus, the sermon argues, he's like the violinist's father, that enduring, loving presence that's always there, especially when we're afraid.
And this is the last command Jesus gives them as the vision fades, a message they're supposed to carry down from that mountain and into their everyday lives. It's just a powerful reminder that when you finally have the right focal point, fear never, ever gets the final say.